today we're going to be talking about the Anker Soundcore Life Q20s. I got these from Amazon. I wanted some new noise canceling headphones, and we're going to talk about some of the good things and bad things about them. Overall, good headphone set, and so today I'm going to talk to you about some of the reasons why you should buy them. They're a good on-ramp for noise canceling headphones. So stay tuned for the good and the bad, and we're going to talk about that in just 1 second. Alright, so before we jump into the actual good and bad of each of the headphones, I just want to point out some of the things that come with the headphones, because not that it's crucially important, but I want you to kind of get a good idea of what's going on here. They're made by Anker. I've had a couple Anker headphones before. They're good. I think they've really pushed the Soundcore brand. I mean, honestly, there's nothing really special about the box. They have just weird things on it that I wouldn't like. High-res audio, I don't know what that means. It's pretty, just what they can put whatever they want in there. Comes with a bag to hold it. Do we ever use these? I never use them. Some other stuff in here. Quick start guide. I'm not going to open it. It's pretty much useless. Comes with a container, of course. Comes with charging cord, not even a charger anymore, and a actual headphone line. So the first thing we're actually be talking about is kind of the design of the actual headphones. So kind of give you a kind of an overview of what I use headphones for. I use all my headphones for doing work, so usually video editing, audio editing, music of course, and I actually run with a lot of my headphones. So oftentimes I'm going to put, even though they're not designed for running, I'm going to put these through the ringer when it comes to actually exercising, sweat, the usual stuff, bouncing around. So first off, I think the design is good. I don't think it's amazing. Some of the things I don't like about it are the actual shininess of the actual design of it. It makes it look a little cheap, and usually matte has a better class to it, so the shine, you can see right, you can see my lights bouncing off it. It just doesn't give the best look, but it's fine. I'm really not buying it for the look necessarily. I'm buying it for the sound quality and also just like the noise canceling. So we're gonna talk about that in a little bit. One thing I really appreciate this is that the actual headphones fit over my ears super well. So a lot of times with we'll call them affordable headphones, the ear cups don't fit over my ears. And so after, an hour or two of actually sitting on your head, your ear, you get that ear, I guess, pain, it's just crushing your ears. These do not have that, at least for my ears. And I have kind of, I would say, bigger ears. So most of the times headphones don't work on me well. These do. These work super well. Also, things I do like about this is the top right here. It's a nice soft material, not overly soft. I think it could be more, but I've had this on for, I think, 4 hours total, one solid time. Never any ear problems and no headband problems as well. Honestly, these headphones are really great for just sitting around and walking around the house. Very low motion headphones. Now, the reason I say low motion is that I did run with these headphones a lot. Oftentimes, let me show it. They creak more than I'd want them to. So let me give an example. So let me kind of put up my Sony X3s or X4s. I can't remember which ones these are. But there's a huge difference of quality. Like if I put these up here, there's no creaking whatsoever. One of the weird things with these headphones, and I think it comes down to the cheapness factor of it, but they do creak a lot. When it comes to when you're actually doing motion. Now, if you're just sitting there and you're not doing anything, these are great. But once you start moving around and your head starts moving, they start creaking more than I like them to. But honestly, I know they're not designed for that, so I'm kind of giving an unfair advantage. They're not $400 headphones, so you gotta cut them some slack somewhere. It's funny because when I was even when I was sitting around just having the headphones on me, there'd be times where I hiccuped or coughed, and and automatically, every time I do it, I would hear this sharp plastic shrilling noise in my head. Pretty much everything else works really well. One thing that is slightly annoying to me specifically, okay, so this is gonna be hard to point out. The power button is slightly over, it's not dead center with the actual headphone itself, and then the noise cancellation off button is just slightly next to it. So what would happen, so I'm going to talk about the noise canceling in just a second, but there'd be times where I want to take the noise canceling off, and so what I would do oftentimes is when I'd go to turn the noise canceling off, I would always get confused what is the on-off button, what is the noise canceling button. It was really confusing because they almost sit next to each other, and so I would forget positionally which one is which because it's just backwards. Anyways, honestly, totally fine, not a big deal, not a deal breaker. Whereas comparison to my X3s, I always knew the power button for the X3 says almost dead center, I know it's right here, and then you actually know that noise canceling is up here if you need to turn it off. That was way more obvious. It's once you get used to it, it's fine, but even still today, I'm yeah. Now let's talk about the sound. Now the sound I would consider obviously good. It's a great sound. I would not consider these very bass heavy. Now I think I've seen some other people say like they're so bass heavy and stuff, and maybe they're not bass heavy. What really truly they are is that they're mid heavy. They're very, very loud. So these are some of the like just extremely loud headphones. And I think what they do is to compensate, because bass naturally is a battery hog. Like anytime you produce bass, it just requires a lot of power. And so to conserve battery power, they reduce the bass and put a lot of power into the mids. Now, when I put if I compare these to other headphones like my Sonys, the Sonys are probably like 25, maybe 10% bass heavier than these headphones. These are really, really strong in the mids. So that's good for like country music, rock music, and some other things. But when it comes to like EDM music, things that I'm more listening to, these are not my choice for when it comes to bass music. Sonys are a good go. There's other brands that I specifically buy for bass. Besides that, I would not consider these super bass heavy headphones by any stretch of the imagination. But one thing with advantage to that is that since they are not bass heavy, their battery life is quite good. There was never a time where I felt like I went multiple days at multiple hours a day using these headphones, and I think I never really had to worry about charging at all. I never did like a 40-hour test. That's what they say on the box, and they quote saying 40 hours. I don't know. Yeah, it's multiple days. You're gonna be fine. The battery life is great. So about the noise canceling. So that was my last point to talk about. So obviously you're purchasing these. Ugh. So one of the things that I liked about it is, first, the price is great. Secondly, I would give the noise canceling a better rating, a good rating. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's not, you can't compare it to the Apple Max Pros, or you can't compare them to the Sony X3s or 4s. Those are just by leaps and bounds better when it comes to compared to this. These are a good, affordable on-ramp to noise canceling. The reason I believe that they turn the volume up on these, they actually have bigger drivers on these headphones, is to that overcompensate like it's almost this weird thing where the noise canceling is good, but you feel it's better because you turn the volume up, and so it makes everything louder. So you don't even really like, it's like this weird balance whereas the Sonys, what these things are different about is that they don't get super loud, but the noise canceling is fantastic. So you don't need as much volume. Whereas these, you need more volume because the noise canceling isn't quite there yet. The thing that I realized was that the noise canceling is fine and good, but you end up turning the volume up to overcompensate the lack of noise canceling. The only other thing that I didn't like about the noise canceling, and this is always the de facto problem with noise canceling, is that the ear cups, when they sit over your head and you hear that creaking, is that they don't do the best job of covering your ears so you don't get the muff. So what happens is with the noise canceling is that sometimes when the seal breaks when you're moving, this is that problem, it creates a weird atmospheric pressure in your head. And so there's often times where, especially running, moving, exercising, whatever the case is, I would turn the noise canceling off because I would just move it slightly and my head would just shift a little bit, the seal would break. And then next thing I know, like I'm hearing this noise leaking behind me. It's just a weird problem. And I know it's a common problem with the noise canceling headphones. Does it do better than others? Yes. But does it do as good of a job as the M3s or the M4s or the Apples? Not necessarily, but that's okay because these are way more affordable, a good on-ramp for noise canceling headphones, period. Now, the big question is, would I actually buy these and use these again? And what kind of setting would I use these in personally? So I would use these definitely in an audio or at least video editing session. I definitely wouldn't use these much in the exercising areas. So obviously, because the point of buying these is for the noise canceling section of it, of course. So, and I oftentimes turn the actual noise canceling off when I'm exercising or doing things with them. So honestly, what I would invest if you're going to do something for exercising, either get more expensive noise canceling headphones or just get big, thick ear, like what do you call it, like with cups, and then does a pretty good job cutting out the noise, and then just go with that. And you can find those way cheaper than any sort of noise canceling headphones. Some of the last little things, which I don't really find that important, but sometimes it could be important to you. I never really use the volume buttons, the plus and minus or the skip buttons. I always go to my phone, but they're pretty cheap. I mean, I don't really care. They could take them off for all that matters to me. I never use them. It still uses micro USB, which is kind of annoying. Those are small things. Now, I think to wrap up everything, would I get them? Definitely. And I'm going to be using these mostly for editing and video editing. But beyond that, when it comes to exercising and moving around, probably not as much. So, well, that's all I have right now. So if you have any questions, just leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. I'm going to be reviewing, they have another version out too. I'll be doing those pretty soon. And if you have any other headphones you want me to review or other weird tech stuff, I'm all about that stuff. So just leave a comment below and I'll get back to you soon.